Hi guys, welcome back to Vedic Astrology. Today we are going to be doing the monthly reading for the month of November, where we are going to discuss the transits of all the 9 planets from a Vedic astrology perspective to understand what is the kind of impact that we can anticipate for this month from a transit perspective. Now, guys, as you can see on your screen here, these are some of the important dates which are going to come into picture. First and foremost, Sun is currently in the sign of Libra and is going to be stationed there until November 16, and it then moves into the sign of Scorpio. Mercury is in the sign of Scorpio already, and it will become retrograde from November 9, and it will come back into the sign of Libra from November 23. Venus is in the sign of Libra from November 2nd onwards, and it is going to be in the sign of Scorpio. So, multiple planets coming into the sign of Scorpio on November 26th. You have Mars, which is going to be placed in the sign of Scorpio throughout the course of the month. However, he will become combust from November 7th till March 27th. You have Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. He's been there since October 18th, and it is going to get into the mode of retrogression from November 11th onwards. Saturn is in the sign of Pisces itself in Purv Bhadrapada Nakshatra, and most importantly, will become direct from November 27th. Rahu is in Purv Bhadrapada Nakshatra, again, that is of Jupiter, and is going to remain there throughout the course of the month in the sign of Aquarius itself, while Ketu is in Purv Falguni Nakshatra of Venus and is going to be stationed there throughout the course of the month in the sign of Leo itself. So, without further ado, guys, now let's jump into understanding what these transit dates are going to do and how you are going to see the impact through the course of the month of November. Now, Leos, as you can see on your screen here, you have Jupiter and its sign of exaltation in your 12th house. Ketu is placed in the first, whilst Rahu is in the seventh. Next to it is Saturn in the eighth. And then you have all the 4 planets who are going to be traversing between your third and the fourth house. Venus in the sign of Libra, with Sun starting in the month, and then Mercury starting with Scorpio sign in the start of the month, moving back to Libra later, and Mars in Scorpio through the course of the month. We have to understand that this is going to be a very tricky period with respect to how things are going to be panning out, especially if you are watching from a Leo moon sign standpoint, because you are in the middle of your Ashtam Shani, in your Shani Dhaya as well. Ketu, which is placed in your first house, is going to start marginally behaving differently during the course of this period. Why do I say that? Because the dispositor of Ketu, which is Sun, is in its sign of debilitation in the third house and will then be navigating into the fourth house of Scorpio. Whilst Ketu is placed in the nakshatra of Venus, who is placed in the first part of the month or major part of the month in the sign of Libra itself, and eventually will be getting into Scorpio. So you will see a certain shift coming into picture, especially with respect to your relationships, your connections with people, and the fact that Ketu is in the first house. You will see that there is going to be a shift in momentum in your connections with your neighbors, with your siblings. You could see a positive uptick in how they perceive you, or vice versa. Now, why am I calling that? Because Venus is getting into a decent dignity. Yes, he is placed in the third house. It's a Upchaya Bhav. It is not an easy placement for a benefic planet like Venus to be in. But still, this is going to provide you that window of opportunity where you will be able to improve on your relationships, or at least your mind frame will be at a better place with respect to these connections. Then Ketu from here is giving an aspect towards your fifth house, seventh house, and your ninth house. Your ninth house, in fact, has aspects from multiple other planets, which is Venus as well as Sun, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But the aspect of Ketu into your fifth house, along with the retrograded aspect of Saturn, is indicating that there will still be disturbances, turbulences with respect to fifth house matters. However, there will be a world of improvement thanks to Ketu's pivot of its dispositor as well as Jupiter's aspect on Saturn, which is going to improve things. Plus, the house Lord Jupiter himself is, albeit temporarily, but through the course of the month of November, in its state of exaltation in the 12th house. This means that a lot of people who are struggling with respect to their investment strategies, you are going to see some dramatic shift. Yes, expenses could still be on the rise. Yes, you might have to still figure out purchase of gold, which is skyrocketing at this point in time. Leos, you are going to enjoy that yellow metal. It's good for you in general as well. But those that could be just one sample example. There could be avenues for students watching their video in terms of pursuing opportunities abroad or figuring out some connection based on their education in terms of employment or career opportunities as well. And those kind of things are going to suddenly transpire for you. At the same time, with respect to romance, with respect to your creativity, whilst there will be diminished outcomes, there still is going to be a room of improvement which is going to come into picture. Then this Ketu is also giving an aspect along with Sun and Venus. Sun is giving a exalted aspect at least for the first half of the month. So somewhere or the other, if you bring a degree of spirituality, religion, you look up to the principles, you seek the blessings and guidance of your mentors, teachers, gurus, bosses, superior to yourself at your workplace or otherwise in life in general, there will be some outcomes that will positively transpire for you. As we move further, we see that Venus and Sun are placed in the start of the month itself in your third house. Now, your lung lord has come into debilitation, which is tad bit challenging situation. Yet I will consider it to be a positive thing because in a difficult house like Sun, sorry, the third house, it's only a malefic or a tough planet like Sun that could do better. So it's not at all a bad thing. Yes, there could be situations where you feel incompetent, incomplete, or there could be some mismatch in terms of the expectations. You will to be watchful with respect to communication. Mercury will become retrograde, and third house is the house of formal communication. So be extremely careful whilst you are prompting those emails, that written and oral and verbal communication coming in from your side to the to the world in a formal setup. That is going to become hypercritical for you. At the same time, there could be tendencies for you to take a relaxed outlook. You might want to take a break from that continuous hardships that you've been facing, Leos, and it may not be a bad idea for you to take it, cut some slack for yourself in the first 15 days. Venus's presence there is not obnoxious because he is going to add some degree of sweetness to that bitter behavior that can come thanks to the retrogression or this mistakes that could occur out of sheer lack of concentration with the retrogression of Mercury. So Venus is going to help you on that front as well. It is going to be a good period for you, Leos, to explore new hobbies, go out and play some games, practice some kind of creative pursuits during the course of this month. That will also pan out positively for you. Now, Sun is your Lagna Lord or your Rashi Lord if you are watching from a moon sign perspective, and his placement in the third is definitely indicating that no matter what, you will have to spend time and effort and energy. You will have to show some courage to get things done. There is no escape out of it. And yes, its debilitation might indicate that you might not have the will or the energy to do that. Even Mars is going to be in the state of combustion from 7th onwards. Yet, I will advise that you persist with situations. And why do I say that? Because Sun is giving an exalted aspect towards your ninth house. You're a student, maybe you're a professor, teacher, guide gives you certain directions, and you feel as if you are done. Your boss tells you to do some kind of rework. high possibility that rework is going to come into picture. Sixth lord is sitting retrograded in the eighth house. Vipreet Rajoga is there in activation. So yes, that work might seem frustrating, but once you continue to execute that, you will see a positive shift come out of it in the second week, or the second half of the month onwards itself, when sun is making his transit into the sign of Scorpio and giving an aspect towards your 10th house. So do not drop the ball on those regards, and make sure that you are putting your best foot forward, fighting that urge of procrastination, laziness, giving up, and putting whatever best you can in terms of accomplishing that task, accomplishing those goals. Then Venus happens to be the lord of your third house as well as your 10th house. And you see that the 10th lord is making sixth place movement away from itself. So that enterprising behavior, that entrepreneurial mindset, that ability to fight obstacles, showcase your karma to the world is becoming a priority. Somewhere that, especially for Leo moons, that tendency to give up, or that tendency of too much is coming on my plate, is something that you will have to fight through the course of this month. Venus's presence also into the third house is indicating that your karma is going to require magnanimous amount of effort from your side. And Venus generally would be comfortable with some bit of a desk job, doing some bit of lazy research, not delving deep into it. It may not be a bad idea for you to bring some degree of beauty, creativity. Say if you are a person who works on the systems, beautifying aesthetically your presentations or your storyline, your narration is going to be a key. People who are in the space of e-commerce, in social media, doing Instagram related work, YouTube related work, there will be a lot of effort required, but your effort, your creativity is going to deliver outcomes also in the positive direction. So there is a definitive reward promised, but it is going to be having that tinge of frustration, uh, it difficulties that you will have to somehow figure out. At the same time duration, you will have Mercury and Mars sitting in your fourth house. Now that's a dynamic conversation. Mangal yoga dosha is already coming into picture with his placement in the fourth house. First and foremost, you see Mercury is your 11th lord and your second lord, placed in conjunction with a planet which signifies your destiny, your luck. So Mars happens to be a Yoga Karaka planet for you, whilst Mercury happens to be the finance minister, or the one who's responsible for gains. And both of them are forming a Raj Yoga connection for you in the fourth house. So that's a Raj Yoga, it's a Dhan Yoga, more accurately speaking. Your own efforts, Mercury being the second lord, three places away from itself, is giving an indication that your own efforts, your travel to short distances, doing that initiation, showing that courage, is going to reflect in terms of your own gains. It is also indicating a very high probability for many of you Leos to invest into property. Your family, there could be deeper discussion about it, and there could be a to and fro that could be coming into picture, but you guys could be planning of purchasing something new as well, especially which is related to real estate, or a tech asset, technology asset. And it could be anything, a gadget of some form, or stocks, or intellectual property in the form of technology. So you'll have to think from a larger wider spectrum of things. Now Mercury has gone six places away, being the 11th lord as well. So again, wish fulfillment is coming into picture, but it is coming into picture after you are able to fight through those complications, overcome those obstacles. It could be navigating a difficult loan, overcoming a certain conflict. It could be agreeing uh, after multiple disagreements with somebody that you've been collaborating, even your family member for that matter. But at the same time, your ninth lord has gone into the eighth house in its own sign. That's a very positive movement, because you will find that if you are consistent with those efforts, luck, destiny, fortune is going to favor you from that front. It's a Raj Yoga in transit that is coming into picture just by Mars presence in itself. Now, important bit for you to notice, that Mars is going to come into combustion pretty soon. So, and he's going to stay in the state of combustion all the way till March of 27th, which means for about 120 days, he will be in close vicinity with Sun. He will remain combusted, and thereby you will see some diminished impact of Martian energy coming in your life. So, be extremely careful in terms of making any financial calls, investment decisions, especially whilst signing any documents in purchase of real estate, technology, or anything of that sort, because Mercury is going to become a retrograded. That means some sort of a revisit, some sort of a mistake happening in terms of your decision making could come into picture, and Mars might not be able to show its full strength, full confidence to you. So there, I mean, whilst there is good hope, guys, especially Leo Moon, if you are going through that, period of Saturn's Dhrya, there is good hope coming in the month of November. But it is just that you cannot be dropping your guards, and you'll have to shrug off that inhibition and continue to do whatever you're supposed to be doing to derive the better outcome of what, these planetary alignments are promising. Once Mercury becomes retrograded by 2030, is going to be pushing back into the third house, which means that your gains are now going to start getting delayed, or they will require excessive amount of effort from you. I will highly recommend during this period that do take advice of your family members, your friend circle, your elder siblings, elder cousins older than you. Their suggestions, trustworthy suggestions from trustworthy people, is going to be crucial at that point in time. And if you are thinking about any major investments, taking into account their inputs is going to be countable, or making them somewhat accountable and giving that transparency that your inputs are going to impact me. So just be very cautious on that front. Just do not lean on your own judgment. Getting a second opinion is highly important for you guys during this period. Now, and the second half of the month, you will notice that Sun will be traversing and becoming conjunct with Mars in the fourth house itself. Loving Lord coming into the fourth is another indication that you will be eyeing for that those luxuries. It is going to be hyper, intensified with Venus's movement in the last week itself. But this also brings the risk of certain degree of lethargy creeping in you. Please be mindful of that. Sun doesn't do well in the fourth house because he loses his directional strength, and therefore there could be certain circumstances in which your egotistical situations can bring conflict within your family and lack of peace. You could start thinking high of yourself, or you might be of the mindset where you do not listen to or get the opinions of people around you, especially when that sun is coming out of its debilitation. So just be watchful on that front. But the good bit that is coming into picture here is Sun is giving an aspect to the 10th house. Mars is also giving an aspect to the 10th house. Earlier it was Mercury, and later Venus also does that. So you will be deeply engrossed in your actions, in your karma, in your efforts. Public respect, adulation, or fulfillment is going to come with the more and more effort that you put into it. And be it anything, you're a student watching this video, I mentioned Jupiter is in the 12th. You don't have to drop the ball in pursuing those opportunities. Go after it. Listen to your professor, your guide. You are a working professional. Go after it. There will be difficulties. Vipreet Rajuva is coming into picture with Saturn. In fact, for the business stakeholders, people who are self-employed as well, those bits are going to come into picture because Saturn is retrograded. But by the time you are reaching the fag end of the month, it becomes direct. Venus is also in your fourth house. Combined impact coming into the 10th, extremely powerful. Right? As you navigate further, it is important and crucial for you to understand the aspects of Mars as well. He is giving a fourth aspect into the sign of Aquarius, and on that, Rahu is placed there for a while. Now, Rahu's placement can be tricky in the seventh house. It can be very positive in terms of you shrewdly, cleverly navigating, being street smart in terms of your relationship, both at a personal as well as at a professional level. But Mars aspect is going to add some fuel to this fire. There is going to be a fire in your belly in terms of achieving things, especially if you're an entrepreneur, self-employed person. On a relationship front, however, this can be extremely tricky. It can be very fiery energy where if things are going wrong, they will definitely go wrong for you from your personal relationship standpoint. So I had called out earlier that be mindful as to how you are articulating your thoughts. And if Sun's egotistical behavior in the fourth further adds to it, it can be a very difficult situation to be in. Third party situations, thanks to the retrograded aspect of Saturn from the eighth, can be tricky, and unnecessary speculative activities, unnecessary speculative investments could backfire for you, Leos. So be mindful on that front. There is a good aspect, by the way, of this combination as well, that your spouse, if you are a married person watching this video, could see some stupendous growth thanks to that Rahu is going to do well, and the aspect of Mars then adding more impetus to it. So there is a positive bit which is definitely coming into picture with all of these combinations. Now, Mars, apart from its aspect to the 10th, is also giving an aspect to your 11th house, which means that you will be able to work, put your energy in materializing your goals, objectives, dreams. Venus's movement is 5 places and then 6 places away, and it is decent. So, your ability to achieve that target, achieve those goals, is highly probable as long as you do not deviate from the path. Now, last but not the least, you have to also understand that Saturn is placed in retrograde motion till the last week of this month, but he is out of that deepest retrogression. From the mid of the month, you are going to see a lot more improvement. Good part is that exalted state of Jupiter is giving that aspect into your eighth house, which means Saturn's malefic impacts are definitely going to be coming down in the month of November, and things are going to be considerably improving from 16th, 17th onwards. From 27th, he becomes direct, and you will see a pivotal shift coming in on that front as well. You will see that the work that you were doing, the efforts that you were putting in, they required some bit of revisit, but now they will start actualizing by themselves. You will be able to focus towards your family as well as your kids and investments. But again, I will reiterate, which I've been repeating for the last 2, 3 months: stay away from any kind of speculative activities. They could be tricky unless and until, of course, your natal chart is denoting something very different. Last bit, Jupiter being the lord of your fifth house and your eighth house is forming Viparit Raj Yoga. Temporarily, he is going to be staying in that state of exaltation in the 12th. We've already talked about the investment strategies and bit. His aspect on Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Sun, more importantly, in your fourth house, is promising that there is abundance, prosperity, growth coming in your life. So leverage that opportunity to the fullest. It's not going to repeat. There will be complications with his debilitated aspect towards the sixth, but things are going to ease out, as I said, once the second half of the month starts in the retrograded aspect of Jupiter, as well as Saturn becoming direct later on. There will be a lot of fruitful energy coming in. All in all, Leo, it's a mixed bag of the month. A lot of control lies within you. If you are able to make full use of the potential that you carry with yourself, Leos, there are very high chances that you will see an upwards graph coming in the month of November as well. If you appreciate the insights coming in this video, and you understand the effort that has gone in preparing this, shooting this for more than half an hour, then I'll request you to please smash on that like button, subscribe to the Ave Astrology, share and comment with people around you so that we can grow together, and keep watching. Om Namah Shivaya. Har Har Mahadev.